This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. The health authorities request the people to get tested within 3 to 5 days if anyone gets a first contact with a COVID-infected person. Sri Lanka exceeds 5,000 corona deaths. Number of reported COVID-19 cases surpassed 326,000. The Army Commander requests the public to obtain the vaccines without cheating from false propagation. Specialist doctors point that there's risk of children due to COVID. Historic Kandy Asala Perahara commences tomorrow. Today marks the 29th death anniversary of the great war hero, Lieutenant General Denzil Kobakadua. New climate change report will highlight stark reality of warming. Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge successfully defends Olympic marathon title. Local stories in detail. Today marks the 29th death anniversary of the great war hero, Lieutenant General Denzil Kobakadua. On 8 August 1992, a bomb that exploded in an Army Land Rover at Aralia Point took away the lives of 9 military personalities, including Lieutenant General Denzil Kobakadua. He was a knowledgeable, daring, and popular person. The 29th commemoration day of late Lieutenant General Denzil Kobakadua and 9 other war heroes was held with the participation of Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, General Shavendra Silva. Opening of the Denzil Kobakadua Memorial Museum at Ale Point's Kites was also held in coincide with the commemoration. Army Commander General Shavendra Silva has emphasized that risk of life due to corona could be prevented by obtaining vaccines without cheating from false propagation. He stated it is essential to adhere to health guidelines. He also pointed out that wearing face masks is an important fact. The COVID virus is fast spreading in the country. Therefore, all people should follow the health guidelines at this moment. The government is implementing the vaccination program speedily. He said 75% of the people have been vaccinated. The government, including the President and the Prime Minister, is taking utmost measures to accelerate the vaccination program in the country. Specialist doctors for children emphasize that the number of COVID-infected children is increasing. Therefore, elders should pay more attention on the safety of their children. Specialist Dr. Deepa Pereira said that about 150 COVID-infected children are being receiving treatment at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. He requested the people, if any COVID symptoms show, the children should be taken to the nearest hospital. Breastfeeding is essential for children under 6 months for those who were infected with the virus. The historic Asala Perahara in Sri Lanka, hill capital of Kandy, will get off to a start tomorrow with the traditional cup planting ceremony under the guidance of Mahotala of the Temple of the Tooth. After cup planting in the 4 great Devalayas at the auspicious time of 1-9 am tomorrow, 5 Devala Perahara processions will be held for the next 5 nights until the 12th. Starting the Asala festival, the first Kumbal Perahara will take to the streets on the 13th and parade the streets for 5 days until the 17th. Devarnanilame Pradeepa Dilanga Dala says that the Randoli Perahara will take to the streets on the 18th after a 5-day Kumbal Perahara. The final Randoli Perahara will be held on the Nikini full moon Poya Day on 22nd August, and the Kandi Asala Perahara will conclude with a daytime Perahara and water cutting ceremony on the following day. However, this year there will be no spectators or devotees due to COVID-19 epidemic and would not be allowed within the Kandi Asala Perahara area during its duration. The health authorities request the people to get tested within 3 to 5 days if anyone gets a first contact with an infected person. Earlier, it was informed to get tested within 5 to 7 days. Meanwhile, the vaccination program, which commenced at the Sugatadasa Stadium for the people who have not been vaccinated a single dose, will be held today as well. Police spokesman Senior DIG Ajit Rohana requested the public to get the vaccines at the first, instead of considering on various vaccines. Meanwhile, more than 13 million people have been vaccinated at present. The number of people who received the first dose of vaccines has exceeded 10.9 million. The 2 doses of vaccines were obtained by more than 2.7 million individuals. Another 1.86 million doses of the Sinopharm vaccine arrived in Sri Lanka today. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana said the newly arrived stock increases the total number of Sinopharm vaccines received by Sri Lanka to 14.7 million doses. Doctors request the public that if anyone has flu-like symptoms such as a fever, it can either be COVID-19 or dengue, and it is very unlikely to be any other illness. A physician of the National Hospital of Sri Lanka, Dr. Upul Disanayaka, instructed patients to take bed rest and paracetamol only. He told the media at the Health Promotion Bureau in Colombo yesterday that COVID-19 positive patients should be admitted to a hospital only if oxygen percentage drops below 96%, suffer from breathing difficulty and other major complications. Dr. Disanayaka further said, if one family member becomes positive, the rest of the family is considered to be positive no matter whether they have symptoms or not. No medications other than paracetamol should be taken for fever. Bed rest is a must. Bed rest reduces oxygen requirement. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
Continuing with the local stories, Sri Lanka reported 98 deaths due to COVID-19, which occurred on Friday, surpassing the death toll, the grim milestone of 5,000 deaths. Among Friday's deaths, 47 are of males and 51 females. The majority of deaths, numbering 78, are of elderly people in the 60s and above age group. According to the data reported by the Government Information Department, the total deaths due to COVID-19 since the pandemic began have now risen to 5,017, including Friday's deaths. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 2,815 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. Among the cases confirmed, 2,796 are from the New Year cluster and 19 are foreign arrivals currently in quarantine. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, a total of 327,038 COVID-19 cases have been reported and 31,325 infected patients are being treated at hospitals, while 290,794 patients have fully recovered and have been discharged from hospitals. That ends the local news.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On the main news story, the Immigration and Immigration Controller General has taken a decision to extend the validity period of all types of visas of foreigners who are currently in Sri Lanka, taking into consideration the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Accordingly, the validity period of all types of visas currently obtained by foreigners residing in Sri Lanka has been extended by 30 days from 8th August 2021 to 7th September 2021. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddaleppa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watch Light, the public have been urged not to step out unless essential. It is essential as the Delta variant of the coronavirus is spreading rapidly in Sri Lanka. The Government Information Department, in a statement, urged the public to ensure they are vaccinated. The public have also been urged to avoid events including weddings and funerals where a large number of people gather. That ends Watch Light. We move on to the world news, the headlines. US sends B-52 bombers to Afghanistan in a bid to stop Taliban offensive. New climate change report will highlight stark reality of warming. Famous Central Park owl killed in crash with truck. The US has dispatched heavy aircraft against the Taliban in Afghanistan, striking the group in a recently captured city of Sherbakan. The sortie came as the group reportedly reached Kunduz, the country's fifth largest city. Taliban positions around Sherbakan, which became the second provincial capital to fall into the hands of the group over the past 2 days, were targeted by the B-52 aircraft last evening. The strikes inflicted heavy losses on the militants, the official claimed, with over 200 fighters killed and more than 100 vehicles destroyed. A large cache of ammunition was destroyed as well. UN researchers are set to publish their strongest statement yet on the science of climate change. The report will likely detail significant changes to the world's oceans, ice caps and land in the coming decades. Due out on Monday, the report has been compiled by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It will be their first global assessment on the science of global heating since 2013. It is expected the forthcoming summary for policymakers will be a key document for global leaders when they meet in November. The politicians are due to gather for a climate summit known as COP26 in Glasgow. A beloved owl who became a well-known resident in New York's Central Park has died. Barry, the barred owl, was flying low in search of a meal when it collided with one of the park's maintenance trucks on Friday morning, park authorities said. The owl's death has prompted bird lovers across the world to share their photos and memories of Barry. A Twitter page dedicated to birds in the park said they would miss Barry's wondrous and beautiful presence. The owl had become a popular sight for visitors to Central Park, especially last year when the pandemic hit, and many bird watchers would visit to try and photograph the park's star resident. That ends the world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya.
Moving on to development news, the Immigration and Immigration Controller General has taken a decision to extend the validity period of all types of visas of foreigners who are currently in Sri Lanka, taking into consideration the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Accordingly, the validity period of all types of visas currently obtained by foreigners residing in Sri Lanka has been extended by 30 days from 8 August 2021 to 7 September 2021. Only visa fees applicable for the period will be charged for the visas expire within this period and exempted from charging overstay penalty, the Immigration and Immigration Department said in a statement. That ends development news.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya.
Moving on to sports news, Eliud Kipchoge has fulfilled his legacy after the Kenyan became the first athlete since 1980 to retain an Olympic marathon title at Tokyo 2020. Kipchoge, only the third person to win successive Olympic marathons, finished in 2 hours 8 minutes and 38 seconds. Regarded as the greatest marathon runner of all time, 36-year-old crossed the line 1 minute 20 seconds ahead of the Netherlands' Abdi Nagiye. In the race for the bronze, Belgian Bashir Abdi edged out Kenyan Lawrence Cherono. A blistering United States outplayed host Japan to win a 7th successive women's basketball gold on Tokyo 2020's final day of action. Celebrated veterans Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi became the first players to win 5 Olympic basketball titles. It means the side are unbeaten in 55 Olympic matches, with their last defeat, which was in the 1992 semi-final. Japan earned silver in their best ever finish, with France taking the bronze. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
On business news, Dialog Axiata plc announced that its consolidated financial results for the 6 months ended 30th June 2021. Financial results included those of Dialog Axiata plc and of the Dialog Axiata Group. The group sustained its consistent performance despite the challenges associated with COVID-19 pandemic and resulting lockdowns in Q2 2021. Accordingly, the group recorded consolidated revenue of 67.9 billion rupees for the first half of 2021 and 35.1 billion rupees for the second quarter of 2021.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Moving on to economic news. State Minister of Livestock, Farm Promotion and Dairy and Egg-related Industries, D.B. Herath, says that no decision has been taken to increase the price of milk powder. Speaking to the media in Kandy, the State Minister said that a shortage of milk powder in the country will not be allowed. Meanwhile, Minister of Trade Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena said if the price of milk powder is allowed to be increased by around 200 rupees, the current shortage of milk powder will be eliminated, but such an increase in price will not be allowed. The minister said that due to the collapse of the global supply chain with the COVID epidemic, transport and shipping charges have gone up, and the reason for the shortage is that milk powder is not being imported due to not being allowed to increase prices. That ends the economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And finally, on the weather report, the southwest monsoon condition is active over the country. Showers will occur at times in western, Sabragamur, central and northwestern provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Heavy showers above 100 mm can be expected at some places in these areas. Showers and thunder showers will occur in a few places in Uva and eastern provinces and in Mullaitivu district during the evening or at night. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The health authorities request the people to get tested within 3 to 5 days if anyone gets the first contact with a COVID-infected person. Sri Lanka exceeds 5,000 corona deaths. Number of reported COVID-19 cases surpassed 326,000. The Army commander requests the public to obtain the vaccines. Specialist doctors point out the risk faced by children due to COVID. Historic Kandy Asala Perahara commences tomorrow. Today marks the 29th death anniversary of the great war hero, Lieutenant General Denzil Kadua. New climate change report will highlight stark reality of warming. Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge successfully defends Olympic marathon title. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.